The 1997 FIA GT season wraps up in beautiful Monterey, California at historic Laguna Seca Raceway. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee alongside Jeremy Dale and Dorsey Schrader. And technology really is the byword of this type of racing.
Yeah, the technology has really been on the upswing the last couple of years with these GT cars. In 1995, the McLaren debuted, and everyone was really amazed at the technology in that car. A year after that, along comes the Porsche, and everyone said, wow, look at this piece. And then a year after that, the Mercedes shows up, and everyone says, well, maybe we're going a little too far with the technology, and that's where we are now.
Well, of course, the points championship is really up for grabs.
Well, after last week's win, Bernd Schneider now 3 points in the lead over Leto and Soper. And after the fire at Sebring, that car's been rebuilt, but it's only qualified 9th here today.
Well, we'll take this break and come back with the starting lineup for this 3-hour event from Laguna Seca.
This Speed Vision program is brought to you by Porsche, who wish to remind you there is no substitute.
The legendary Nürburgring. It sounds crazy, but they let anyone drive on this world-famous racetrack for just a few Deutschmarks. It was here that Porsche engineers tested our 911 Turbo. Lap after lap of the 400 horse.
1-800-324-1881.
Welcome back to Laguna Seca. Gary Lee in the broadcast booth alongside Jeremy Dale and Dorsey Schrader. We have 2 pit reporters today. First, we go to Calvin Fish.
Championship leader Bernd Schneider starts today's race from the outside of the front row in the number 11 Mercedes. He scored 5 victories this year, but not all of them have been popular with the other teams. At Suzuka and the A1 ring, Bernd actually switched cars halfway through the event, scoring valuable points. After this sequence of events, the other teams protested, and they've actually changed the rules now that the teams have to nominate their drivers after the warm-up, and this means that Bernd Schneider will not be able to switch cars once the race has started. And for a story about another very tight championship battle, I'll turn you over to my man in the pits, Greg Creamer.
Well, thanks very much, Calvin. Indeed, the points battle in GT2, very tight indeed. 5 drivers are in this one by himself and 2 sets of teammates. Now, the interesting thing here is this car, this is the Viper number 51, 2 of the teammates, Philippe Gache and Olivier Beretta, are second in the points, tied behind Justin Bell. Justin, in a team car, is running with Tommy Archer, but in between the 2 of them on the grid are 2 Porsches. And those are the other 2 drivers. Claudia Hertzgen and Bruno Eichmann have been sharing the same car all year, tied essentially for 3rd in the points. They're running 2 separate cars to make this battle a little bit tougher on the Vipers, have to make them go to the front and drive hard, rely on Porsche reliability.
Thanks, Greg. I'm sure we'll keep you guys busy down there. We'll take this break and come back with our starting lineup.
If you're a real car enthusiast, you should be reading Auto. Zero in on the wonderful world of flying, only on Speed Vision.
Stop number 11, the final race of the 1997 FIA GT Series, as we take a look now at the starting lineup. And only 3 Mercedes in the field, and they're starting 1, 2, and 3. Alexander Wirtz will start from the pole position, teaming with Greg Moore. Outside the front row is Bernd Schneider, who hopes to not only win the race, but also the championship. He leads by some 3 points in the championship. In the second row, Alessandro Nannini will go alongside Alan McNish. McNish in the first Porsche in the starting lineup. And in the third row, it's Yannick Dalmas in number 7. Number 9 is Peter Cox. In the fourth row, Hans Stuck will team with Terry Boutsen, along with Steve Soper and J.J. Leto starting outside the fourth row. As we take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, you're talking about really 2 races in one. 42 entries totally, 20 of those in GT1 and 22 in GT2.
Yeah, and the GT2 battle is also a battle going down to the championship. And of course, Justin Bell is leading that right now in one of the Dodge Vipers. So that's going to be another good show, too.
Well, Viper, of course, has already locked up the manufacturer's title, but and the Mercedes has locked up the manufacturer's title for GT1.
They have, but that driver's championship in GT1 still wide open. The BMW McLaren team drivers, Steve Soper and J.J. Leto, they were very strong early in the season, but they've had such a tough time late in the season. They had a very difficult race last weekend at Sebring, and the luck just has not been going their way lately.
Well, not mathematically out, though, at this point, anyway.
No, not mathematically out at all, but for a team that was so strong early on, they won 3 out of the first 5 races. I mean, they were that strong early on. The last time they won was Mugello in Italy, but they've been really nowhere since then.
Well, of course, once again, 5 wins this season for Bernd Schneider. J.J. Lato and his teammate Steve Soper have 4 wins apiece, but they have broken up their partnership this afternoon. They'll drive separate entries.
Well, I think the idea there is that you, by splitting up those drivers, you have a better shot at taking the championship with 2 cars entered.
I'll tell you, I'm very impressed with the speed of the Mercedes guys in qualifying. They've been absolutely devastatingly fast, and what a neat car. My first time looking at the car, and it's an awesome piece of machine.
It's such a phenomenal car to watch on the racetrack, just so solid, so stable, and just so quick.
Well, of course, they've competed in 8 countries, 2 stops in England, 2 here in America, 2 in Germany. They've also been to Finland, Belgium, Austria, Japan, and Italy, but they're going to wrap up the season on American soil. Of course, they ran last week in Sebring. Now we're about ready to go racing here at Laguna Seca in Monterey, California. Round 11, the final round of the FIA GT Championship. They are underway here at Laguna Seca. The only 3 Mercedes in the field. We're starting 1, 2, and 3. Mercedes has lost 1 position, now back to 4th.
And look at this move around the outside there. The 2 team cars going side by side through turn 2, allowing the Porsche to sneak up on the inside for turn 3.
That is McNish.
The leader drops a wheel, and the Porsche goes to the lead there, so the leader drops a wheel.
So McNish, teaming with Kellner's this afternoon, takes the lead. He started 4th. He is now in the lead in front of those 3 Mercedes. Alexander Wirtz, the fast qualifier, a former winner at Le Mans, is in 2nd position.
And another Porsche there with a move into turn 5, up into 4th place.
As we go on board on this 2.2-mile course in car number 6, that's the car co-driven by Hans Stuck and Terry Boutsen.
And this is the section leading up to the corkscrew. Long climb up here. You start braking before you crest the hill. You can see the brake lights on the McLaren there. And then off the brakes, accelerate down the hill where it's blind. You can't see a thing coming down that hill. There's a couple of the Davidoff team McLarens, the Gulf cars. So big surprise here with this Porsche out in front early.
Well, right before the start of this race, I was talking with Hans Stuck, and Hans was very disappointed in the qualifying. They got it wrong, and he said in this warm-up practice before, he said everything is great. He actually, on full fuel tanks, went out and set a faster time than what he qualified at. So we could be expecting a lot out of Hans Stuck today.
So out in front, and a surprise leader right now at this juncture in this 3-hour timed event is the Porsche of McNish. Kellner standing by in the pit lane to take over probably on that first pit stop. And guys, we would anticipate with the fuel consumption here on this racetrack in a 3-hour timed event, 2 stops.
Yeah, that's probably the way it'll go. It would depend on full course yellows and so on. Oh, there's one of the panos there off. That looks like turn 1.
That's Perry McCarthy, I believe, who has spun it off there in turn 1, is going to rejoin. No damage to the car, it doesn't look like anyway.
That's the oh, look at the dirt come out of the nose there.
We'll take a look again at what happened to that American-built Panos.
Well, he's outside, and he, I think, just got a tap right there. In fact, did from the Porsche. He was trying an outside patch on the Porsche, and it's probably a little bit gravelly out there.
And, you know, it's only that's only the end of the first lap for him, so not full tire temperature at this point either. So a fairly, you know, early time to be making such a bold move on what are potentially not totally hot tires.
Once again, let's take a look from the onboard camera through turn 11. Let's take a lap now on this 11-turn, 2.2-mile road course with all kinds of elevation changes.
Yeah, and this is the run up through turn 1 here, climbing the hill, past the start-finish line. It's blind as you crest there. Very hard braking here into turn 2. A lot of passing down in turn 2, obviously, because of the hard braking from high speed. Fairly slick in this section of the racetrack, I've always found.
Yeah, this corner right here, this turn 3, a little bit off camber at the exit, and that's where we saw the Mercedes drop its wheels before. Really easy to get cut off right there, particularly on cold tires on the first lap.
And I've never found cars very hard to put power down on this infield section. Now, this is the corner here where we're going to join the old course, going uphill, 3rd gear corner, pretty quick, about 75, 80 miles an hour.
This is a wonderful section of course right here. This next left-hander has a lot of banking to it, and it has the elevation, the hill itself, to make the car really grip as you head up now toward the keyhole.
And this is a beautiful shot because you can see how blind you're just looking at the sky as you crest there. And the same thing here, you're just looking up over. Very difficult to see down where you're going as you come down through the corkscrew. This is one of the most challenging corners on the racetrack. Very, very difficult in terms of camber there. Always feels like the car just wants to fall off the racetrack.
It's extremely fast corner, and it leads onto this short straight. A good positioning place right here to get a pass made, to get underneath the guy in the braking for the hairpin.
Very tight left-hander. We complete one lap here at a track built 40 years ago as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of Laguna Seca in the Monterey Peninsula. Right now, Alan McNish is out there in front right now with that white Porsche. Running in second position is the Schneider car. Bernd Schneider right now is leading the point standings. And now drivers are telling me, I've never raced at this particular track, and they tell me that the corkscrew looks exciting, but really the turns just beyond the corkscrew are the challenging turns in this course.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I've always felt about it. You know, the corkscrew, I thought I heard some tire squeal there.
Yes, you did. That's that very corner we were talking about, the downhill out of the corkscrew. The 58 Porsche has got it turned all the way around backwards there.
And that's not a good place to be because it's very tough for him to see up the hill there.
Danger of going high-centered on that big curve, but he got it off that and will continue.
I thought I heard some tire squeal there as those cars were going out of our shot. But you're right, Gary, that I think the corkscrew, it's great for race fans because the cars aren't going very quickly. And you can really see them from unusual angles. You can really see them moving around. But in terms of driving it, it's really not that exciting.
There's not much to it right there except for the braking getting into it. There can be some trauma there if you don't get it shut down. But once you're there, there's no speed.
So once again, the timed event, 3 hours here as we wrap up the season from Laguna Seca, California, where the Porsche right now continues to lead over a pair of Mercedes. We're coming right back.
Is a new career in your future? Call Motorcycle Mechanics Institute today and get on the fast track to success. MMI graduate and Harley-Davidson service manager Randall Richards knows what it takes.
When I'm looking to hire new technicians, I need to find somebody who has a broad background and a solid understanding of how Harleys work. You know, somebody who is serious and efficient, ready to go with on-the-job training. I can always find these qualities in an MMI graduate.
Call 1-800-994-3664 today. Speed Gear presents its latest catalog of officially licensed racing merchandise. Choose from the top names in Formula One, kart, and NASCAR. F1 teams Ferrari, Williams, Benetton, and Jordan. Championship drivers including Villeneuve, Schumacher, Senna, and Prost. Kart teams Newman Haas, AAR, Forsythe, Plus drivers Andretti, Fittipaldi, and many others. Speed Gear has it all, from t-shirts and hats to fabulous artwork, videos, and die-cast collectibles. Call now for a free copy of our latest catalog or visit us on the internet at speedgear.com. Speed Gear has it all.
Speed Vision unlocks the magic of motorsports. From triumphs on the track to battles in the air, opening its archives to rediscover the people and places that made motor racing an international pastime. Meet the men we called Big Daddy, the Giant Texan, Professor, and King, and watch as legacies are passed from generation to generation. Speed Vision, bringing the history of motorsports back to life.
FIA GT Racing from the elevations of Laguna Seca Raceway here in Monterey, California. Gary Lee in the broadcast booth alongside Jeremy Dale, Dorsey Schrader in the pit lane, Calvin Fish, and Greg Creamer. And 11 races on the year, and they wrap up with 2 on American soil. This has been very interesting.
Well, I think it's been a real hard go for the teams because they had to pack everything up, and they didn't have a lot of time in Europe to pack the cars up, get them to Sebring. Now they're coming to racetracks they've never run on, they've never had the opportunity to test on. And, you know, these teams are used to testing. They like to test. They like to put in time and really get a feel for where they're going to be at. A lot of the drivers don't know the racetracks. It's really been, I think, a tough couple of weeks for these teams.
Also tough to get from Sebring last weekend to race here this weekend.
I was about to say, if they haven't been to the United States before, no better way to see it than to start in Florida and have to end up all the way across the United States to California. 2 totally different racetracks, obviously.
Now, here's the McLarens here. These are the factory McLarens. And, of course, one of these cars, the Lato car, caught fire at Sebring a week ago, and that really hurt them in the championship.
And right behind those BMWs, we see the black Panos running right amongst them.
Lato and Soper are running right together, cars 9 and 8. Now, normally they team. In fact, they are second in the point standings, but they've elected not to run as teammates here this afternoon. And once again, a Porsche out in front with Alan McNish leading a pair of Mercedes. In fact, just under a second back is Bernd Schneider, who now leads the point standings after his victory last week. All season long, the team of Soper and Lato in a BMW had been leading the points. But last week, a big fire in the BMW put them out of the podium finish, and consequently, Schneider took the points lead.
Wow, look at this battle up front. Just great to see these Porsches and Mercedes racing wheel to wheel. Of course, that yellow 911, a slower car, getting out of the way there very nicely to let the leaders come through.
Well, we're showing a starting lineup of 42 cars, and 20 of those were in the GT1 class and 22 in GT2. So again, we have 2 races in one.
Yeah, we do have 2 races in one, and generally, you know, it's not that hard to tell the cars apart, because most of the GT1 cars are very exotic looking cars, as you can see by the looks of these Mercedes CLKs and the Porsche 911 GT1s, the Paynos, the McLarens. Most of the GT2 cars have more of a production look about them. The Vipers, the 911 Porsches, and so on. So the cars are not that hard to tell apart, generally speaking.
But technically, the rules state that the GT1 car has to be a production model.
Well, they have to build some street cars. It doesn't mean they have to build a lot of them. And here we have the Porsche underneath Mercedes coming on the front straight.
That is a pass for the lead. That is a pass for the lead. So we've had a change of lead there. Kellener's Schneider had gotten around Kellener's, and now Kellener's gets back by him through traffic. And these guys are going to be doing this all day long. I mean, they're going to be up against this all day long because it's a big field, not a particularly long racetrack, and they're going to be in and out of these lap cars all day.
Well, an interesting story on, we see right now, when the Lotus, the 13 Lotus, has spun the car off the track and is re-entered right there. I was about to say, the interesting story on our lead Porsche is the Kellener's car is not a car that is unscathed. That car was completely demolished in a race here in the United States earlier in the year. Has been rebuilt exactly this week. It's its first time back after the rebuild.
You can see what happens when they reach slower traffic. We'll see a lot of this throughout the afternoon because, as you indicated, Jeremy, with 42 cars and really a small racetrack, traffic will be a major concern throughout this race.
And that was a very solid, bold move in traffic there.
Here it is again, an overhead view, and that was extremely bold move. And he just stuck it right in there.
I like how he pushes him out on the X of the corner. It's like, hey, I'm not going to leave you any room. I'll push you out.
And look at the stack up that happened behind it because of it. And we see the Lotus is now pitted.
We also saw this car in competition yesterday in the Exxon Supreme GT race. Let's go back to the pit lane, Greg.
Gary, apparently a big problem early on for the Lotus, one of the 2 Lotuses running. Cars come in, there's a little bit of damage, but it just coasted in, and the driver just got out of the car, wasted absolutely no time in doing so. So the problem apparently rather severe. What was the problem? What happened?
The engine was out yesterday evening after the USA race, and we have another engine, but we blew up in Sebring. And now the power go down, and it was impossible to continue.
All right, tough break. We're glad you're racing here, though. Apparently, this car also running in the sports car Exxon race a little earlier. The engine, a V8 Chevy, they had some problems. They haven't been able to carry them, obviously. They're done.
Well, and
Chapman, think about that.
I don't think that was a V8 Chevy, actually. I looked at that the other day, and it didn't look like anyone I'd seen anyway.
It's a hybrid V8 Chevy.
And what Greg was talking about was yesterday we had a sports car sanctioned GT race, which the 2 Lotus cars ran in that event. So they had some extra work to do with those cars because they had to prepare and run a race yesterday and then doing this race again today. A lot of work.
So Porsche continues to lead after a pretty good dice over a couple laps with the Mercedes. Right now, McNish in that white Porsche continues to lead Bernd Schneider in the Mercedes, and Yannick Dalmas now up to 3rd in car number 7.
Time is running out for you to get the most bone-shattering crash video ever made. The crash experience, the ultimate extreme in crash action. Yours for a limited time only through this exclusive TV offer. But wait, order now, you'll also receive absolutely free Crush This, the most awesome collection of monster truck destruction ever. That's right, both videos for the price of one, just $19.88. And there's more. Yeah. Call within the next 30 minutes. We'll include a third video. Bad Boats, absolutely free. It's drag boat devastation like you've never seen. There it is. 3 action-packed videos for the price of one. A $60 value. Yours for the next 30 minutes, just $19.88. Time is running out. Have your credit card ready. Call 1-800-247-4700 or send check or money order to the address on the screen. Order yours today. Call 1-800-247-4700. Order now.
Watch Speed Vision's explosive lineup of war footage, spanning 50 years of conflict. On air combat.
Back at Laguna Seca, a problem in the Panos. Number 20 is Eric Bernard had been in 8th position, and he simply pulls off the course.
Yeah, that must be a motor problem. We were talking in the GT race yesterday about how the Panos team has some new motors from Jack Roush, and maybe this is one of those new motors.
Oh, look at this. It's an onboard spin in the Mercedes.
In our camera car, and I thought, you know, I was looking at where he was looking, and I was thinking, what's he looking at? He shouldn't be looking over there.
Well, that's what it feels like when you're in the middle of the
Alexander Wirtz, who started from the pole position, takes an off-track excursion. He looked to the right, like, where am I going? Well, we found out why he was looking.
Well, with that in-car shot, when he looks back at the mirror in his right side, it looks like he's looking right at the camera, and he glanced over at one point, but then he was looking over that way just a little too much.
Wirtz sharing the car with Greg Moore, who has a lot of time on this racetrack in the kart PPG series. Let's take a look again. This is going into my off the racetrack.
Yeah, that certainly wasn't his fault. Well, we didn't see what led up to that. Maybe he already pushed the guy off.
That was a pretty solid hit right on the right rear wheel too. Good hard hit right there.
And here's a little in-car.
Watch his reaction.
Well, he's pretty calm about it.
He's off the steering wheel at first.
It's pretty calm.
Yeah, he is actually pretty calm after a hit like that. I think so too.
And a third look now from a different angle.
Oh, you know what's happened? The Porsche dropped the wheels off on the outside and then hooked back into the side of the Mercedes.
Right, well, I saw that before, but we didn't see why the Porsche had 2 wheels off. I'm wondering if he didn't surprise him with a bit of a late move.
And just move him over in the turn.
And just move him over. I thought he was very calm and collected, though, when he got hit. Just take his hands off the steering wheel and ride it out.
That's not my fault, kind of hands off the steering wheel.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
I didn't do it.
Hands off.
Well, if you're going to get tagged to go off course, that's probably the best place on the racetrack, because that's the slowest corner.
It is. It's very slow, and he probably hasn't done a lot of damage. I mean, he hasn't helped his tires, but...
I'm actually kind of impressed with the side integrity of the Mercedes, because that was a pretty hard hit, and it really hasn't shown much damage to the outside bodywork, and it seems to be going along quite well.
Well, you know, the way these guys race, I mean, you know, this is kind of the NASCAR of Europe. Let's go down to Greg Kramer.
Well, we're taking a look at the number 55 Porsche that created the problems, apparently, that the number 12 got caught up in. Drivers just indicated the steering seems to be okay. The damage is to the left front corner, and I guess they're just going to leave it alone. They think it's okay. They're topping the fuel out. Going to send him back out. There is some bodywork damage, but not too severe, so looks like he'll be able to get back and underway.
That little off-track excursion dropped Wirtz back to 14th position, but keep in mind, just a week ago at Sebring, Bernd Schneider spun on the very first lap, lost a lot of positions, but then came back to win in the rain.
Well, a lot can happen in a 3-hour race. Now, we had rain. Look at this. You've got to love the lap traffic here. The BMW goes up the inside, locks a wheel, splits the Mustang, the Saleen Mustang up the middle there.
That's one of those deals that makes racing so much fun. You know, these two faster cars catch the little guy. The little guy has nowhere to go, and so they just split him. It's kind of terrifying if you're in the middle.
think of this kind of racing, I'd rather be in the fast car than the slow one.
Ooh, this looks early to me. This looks early.
Yeah, they got the engine cover off, too. That is not a good sign.
J.J. Lato teaming with Peter Cox this afternoon. Of course, they were still in this championship hunt. They had led the points, at least J.J. had, with Steve Soper throughout the season until last weekend.
And you know, I think what they did is they put Soper and Lato in separate cars, probably to give them the best chance, so that if they had, and it's obvious by the gesture there by the mechanic that this car is done, so that if the two team cars, if one of them had problems, at least one of them would have a shot at the championship. And it looks like Lato is now out of the running for the championship.
Well, Lato and Soper have won 4 events this season. Bernd Schneider has won 5. In fact, he's won 5 of the last 7.
Yeah, the Mercedes steamroller took a while to get rolling, but it got rolling.
Well, surprisingly, Porsche showing a lot of muscle in the race. Of course, in qualifying, they didn't do quite as well, but here in the race, they are very strong.
Yeah, right now, Kalliner's with about a 2.5-second lead, and of course, the Viper there, that is our GTS2 leader.
Well, one of Mercedes making a pit stop, so let's go back to pit lane and Greg Kramer.
Well, I believe the number 12 Mercedes that was into contact with that 55 Porsche making its way in. They have a hood, a brand new hood ready just in case they foresee some damage. Alex Vert's behind the wheel, and we're watching. It looks like the hood doesn't look too bad. One of the things we have to wait for is if they were going to do any refueling at all, which they did a quick top off. You cannot touch the car while they're refueling. You can see now they have pulled that hood off. They're taking a look particularly at the, well, it looks like left front suspension now going to the right front. They have to wait until fueling is done to do anything on the car. Now they're going to take a look at tires. It makes these stops long and rather involved, but they want to make sure the job is done. The hood looks fine. I don't know that they'll need the new hood. Should be able to just check out the suspension. That's their main concern right now.
As we see another car off track.
And I just want to point out, you're having a good look at the front of the Mercedes there. And in case you're wondering why there's no motor there, that is a mid-engine car. Even though it's based on a CLK road car, that is a mid-engine V12, 7 liters.
At speed, we never get a chance to see the airbrush work on those cars.
Right here is the car that pulled off track. It's the number 60 Marcos automobile, and that looks like a terminal failure.
And that was the car that was on the pole in GT2, which was a bit of a surprise. Everyone was a little bit surprised, especially the Viper guys, that car was on the pole in GT2.
And that is the first pole for Marcos make. So tough luck for those guys today.
Lengthy pit stop, but now the Mercedes of Alexander Hertz is underway. So the driver that started from the pole position with his teammate Greg Moore finds himself well off the pace down a long way to go. But once again, it's a 3-hour timed event. Right now, from the start, it's been all Porsche, despite the Mercedes qualifying 1, 2, and 3. And Porsche continues to lead. And right there is your lead car, number 47.
If you love the sight of a big white-tail buck moving through the brush, the excitement of ducks coming in over your decoys, the thrill of seeing a largemouth bass crashing your lure, if you love hunting, fishing, the great outdoors, you'll love Field & Stream, America's premier outdoor magazine. Each issue is chock full of great photos and exciting stories on hunting, fishing, the newest outdoor gear, and more. Read how to bag that trophy buck, the best places to go for trout, how to cast like a pro, what lures to use and when to use them, how to improve your shotgunning skills. It's all in Field & Stream, the great magazine of the great outdoors. One full year, regularly $35.88, is now just $14.95. A savings of more than 60% off the newsstand price. Subscribe now, and you'll get this handy, multi-purpose sportsman's knife free with your paid subscription. Designed for outdoorsmen, it's 14 tools in one. Just about everything you want it to be. It's the perfect sportsman's knife, and it's yours free. But that's not all. Every month, your Field & Stream subscription includes the work of the country's best outdoor writers and photographers, plus special up-to-the-moment coverage on the hottest places to hunt and fish in your area. It's all yours. A full year subscription to Field & Stream and the 14-way sportsman's knife.
all for just $14.95, a $20 savings. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-745-4114 now. That's 1-800-745-4114 and get a full year of Field & Stream plus your free Sportsman's Knife. Call 1-800-745-4114. That's 1-800-745-4114.
You ride in the competition of the FIA GT on a sunny and mild day here in the Monterey Peninsula at Laguna Seca Raceway. A temperature in the low 70s, abundant sunshine. Gary Lee alongside Jeremy Dale and Dorsey Schrader here in the broadcast booth with Calvin Fish and Greg Kramer controlling pit lane. This is the Porsche of Terry Boutsen.
I love this view from the in-car, just looking at sky. Just a lot of sky.
If he doesn't slow up, he's going to be getting a lot of sky right on.
Yeah, you know, when you go off there, you
keep going.
You go
It's a big
down.
drop.
You go down a lot further than you go forward.
It's kind of like racing up Pikes Peak.
Yeah, that is one of the more thrilling rides. Like I said, there's not a lot of trauma in the corkscrew itself, but getting and leaving the corkscrew, there can be all kind of things go wrong.
Alan McNish in the Porsche. That was the car that qualified for the fourth starting position. Another picture of a Porsche and a Mercedes.
Oh, that was a solid thunk in the back right there.
That's Nannini. That's Nannini in the 10 car.
In the Yannick Damas car.
Yannick Damas in the number 7, the white Porsche. Losano Nannini, and another problem is that Nannini, and now
that is the same car, and it looks like there's a fire there on the left rear. I don't know if that's a brake fire or let's go to Greg.
Well, it's definitely something involving brakes. The smell is unquestionable, and they are trying to get to it as quick as possible. And once again, they have to put off everything while they're doing that, as we mentioned. Now they've got the rear deck off of the car, which, of course, uncovers the rear suspension, tires, and engine. And they are letting loose with some fire extinguishers, and they definitely have a problem, very much brake-related at this point. And this track, apparently, to these teams, it's a fairly unfamiliar track to them. And a couple of them have said that this track is a little harder on brakes than they expected. Apparently, that's proving to be just the case.
Yannick Damas stays in the cockpit. He's sharing that ride with Bob Wallach.
The contact we saw between the Porsche and this Mercedes indeed came in a braking zone. So maybe there's a line leak or something back on that caliper there.
Yeah, that's probably the reason why they got together. And there's a good view of that V12 in there.
As you go back to the leader right now, enjoying over a 2-second lead. Alan McNish in the Porsche, leading Bernd Schneider by over 2 seconds. And Yannick Damas had been back there in the 3rd spot. He's now in the pit lane, which will move behind Stuck in number 6 Porsche up to 3rd position.
Yeah, so right now the Mercedes cars, 2 of the 3 kind of falling by the wayside here. They're certainly not out of it, but they're going to have a tough time getting to the front and winning these races.
It's the 57 car of Claudia Hurtgen, who for a long time led the GT2 standings this season, but she's fallen back to a 4th now.
That's the team car that's right there with it, Bruno Eichmann. So these are GT2 cars that are running as a team and running quite well.
And there's a BMW now coming into this battle, one of the McLaren BMWs coming through to try and put a lap on these cars. That's the Parabolica BMW. They missed the round at Sebring, but decided to focus on coming to Laguna, so we didn't see them last weekend.
The 2 team cars, if you could jump in here, Dorsey, to say that normally Bruno and Claudia share one of the 911s. However, they've been split up this weekend for the points situation because they have won 3 races this year. They're now tied back in 4th position.
That little skirmish we just watched there shows how awkward it is for these 2 types of cars to race while, you know, racing against each other in 2 different classes. Both of them make speed in different areas, and so you can be caught off, and that's exactly what almost happened there with the BMW coming off that corner.
And I wanted to mention that we've seen 2 of the 3 Mercedes cars in the pits already encountering problems. A bit of a replay of what we saw last weekend at Sebring, where the Schneider car, the other cars ran into all sorts of problems. The Schneider car just kind of came through and ended up winning the race.
Yeah, the race came back to Schneider last week after the first lap spin. As you see, that one Mercedes remains in the pit lane. We understand now that Nannini is away in the number 10 Mercedes. After a lengthy the pit stop to repair a rear brake problem.
We had talked about a planned 2 pit stop strategy. I doubt that these pit stops are within the fuel window of the first time, so it might now be a 3 pit stop strategy.
Yeah, it might turn into a 3-stop race. And the battle at the front here, again, our leader in the thick of it in traffic, and he's only got about a 1.5 seconds margin back to the Mercedes. There's the Mercedes. Only one car in between them, so there's no rest for these guys in the front. They can't relax. They've got to keep pushing through this traffic as hard as they can.
Of course, we see the waving blue flag there of the corner markers, letting the driver of the Panos there know that he's about to be overtaken for the lead.
You know, there's
Go
talk.
back and show a replay here, Jeremy. The leader splitting through traffic.
Look at that. That's a great replay, and a great job, by the way, you know, by all those drivers to make room and make something like that happen. I was going to say, there's talk now in Formula One about putting lights in the cars for yellow flag conditions and blue flag conditions, so that you can inform the driver. So if someone's coming up to pass you, you just turn on the blue light in the car, and you've got more information.
Another Porsche 911 off the track. So let's go down and visit with Greg Moore, who will be teaming with Alexander Wurz in that the car that qualified for the pole. Greg?
Well, thanks, Gary. Indeed, Greg, sharing the car that was on pole here. A little bit of a problem early on after the stop. Anything to report?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to any of the guys. You know, as soon as Alex came in, you know, Nannini came in, and it's pretty eventful so far here in the Mercedes pits. But you know, the most important thing is we got burned right up here the front, and you know, as long as this car runs flawlessly all day, we're gonna have a good day.
This is your second race driving these cars. What do you think of them?
I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. You know, it's obviously not an Indy car, but you know, I've had a lot of fun with it, and I got to thank, you know, everyone at Mercedes, because they've given me a pretty good opportunity here.
Well, indeed they have, and I would suggest that that you've done pretty well by them, certainly in the IndyCar ranks, bringing them a number of wins.
Oh, I mean, these cars are just so different than an IndyCar race that you know, I mean, we're doing driver changes here in the Indy cars. You know, we go out, it's kind of like 200 miles flat out from green to checkered. And you know, this car, you go out, come in, you change drivers, so if you're a little bit tired, the other driver gets in the car. It's not that bad, so it's a big change for me, that's for sure.
Speaking of changes, last question. With that pit stop coming well out of sequence, what's that going to do for the rest of the day?
I really don't know. I mean, that's up to the guys here. You know, they've been out of sequence before, and they've come back to win races, so that's what we want to do, is we want to try and still win this race.
Well, and as you said, he's having fun. The whole point is Barron at the front, and that's so far as playing out.
I have to ask you guys, we've talked about the fact these guys have not been to this racetrack before. It's a real challenge for the teams and for the drivers. When you have a driver on the team like Greg Moore that has raced here, what type of input would he have for Alexander Wurz to help Wurz go out and get the pole?
Well, I mean, he knows what the racetrack's about, but he doesn't know what the setup is necessarily for this type of car, because he has no experience with it. All he can really do is give feedback like any good driver could do. He has one advantage in that he's comfortable on the racetrack when he first got here.
Well, and I think it works out well for both of them, because Wurz can obviously help Greg in terms of driving the Mercedes, setting up the Mercedes, and Greg can help them with the racetracks. Now, Greg doesn't know Sebring, where they were last weekend, but he certainly knows this racetrack very well.
Once again, the lead now is 2.6 seconds between the leading Porsche and the second place Mercedes of Bernd Schneider. We'll take this break, come back with more from Laguna Seca.
Are you up all night with nasty neck pain? Now discover the ultimate sleeping experience, the Mount Fuji Oriental Buckwheat Pillow. Mount Fuji pillows, all natural buckwheat hulls, shift to move with you. We placed an egg under a foam pillow. We dropped a glass head on it. The egg is smashed, no support. We'll place the egg under the feathers from a down pillow. Drop it again. That egg is scrambled. Now place the egg under the buckwheat hulls from the Mount Fuji pillow. Drop the head. The egg is safe. It custom molds itself to cradle and support your neck and shoulders in perfect comfort. Other pillows get hot and sticky. Buckwheat hulls won't conduct heat, so your pillow feels cool and refreshing all night long. Buckwheat pillows sell for $60 or more. The Mount Fuji Oriental Buckwheat Pillow and free custom pillowcase is yours for only $19.95 with a 25-year healthy sleep guarantee. The world's most comfortable pillow at a comforting price.
To order your Mount Fuji pillow, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-625-5544. That's 1-800-625-5544. Sorry, no CODs.
Alan McNish continues to lead the way here in this 3-hour timed event, the final race of the 1997 FIA GT Championship. This series made the American debut just a week ago at Sebring in South Central Florida, with the Mercedes taking the win. That would be Bernd Schneider, after spinning on the first lap, came back to win with his teammate Klaus Ludwig. And as a result, the lead now in the point standings belonging to Bernd Schneider after winning 5 times this season.
In the meantime, we're looking at a Porsche which is obviously spun. We saw the flame come out of the back, which means it just restarted that. That is the number 70 car of Dellenbeck Motorsports. That's Klaus Horn. And that was coming out from the downhill. Here we see a replay.
I think he got some help.
Well, no, I think actually he was already loose, and those guys just about got into a big wreck with him. He spun the car completely, installed the motor. You're about to see a different angle here. Better look. Here we go.
We'll see if he got some help.
Well, he might get a little help.
Yeah, I think he got some help there.
He got a little help. Yes, he did.
A little love tap.
Yeah, that was a wrong place, right time deal.
Well, help or no help, it didn't help.
Didn't help. I bet he didn't want that.
That help was no help.
That was no help at all. As we go back
again up to the front, Alan McNish. Now, you were saying early in the broadcast that this is not a factory Porsche. This is a private car that was totally destroyed in a wreck at Road Atlanta back in March, I believe.
That's correct. It's quite a story, actually, as McNish has usually been driving the 01 car that I drove in Motorsport. That car was involved earlier this week in a practice crash and been taken completely apart. It was been destroyed. And this car was the crashed car that was run at Road Atlanta. And it was actually built and assembled here day before yesterday. So quite a story on this Porsche.
And of course, Alan McNish, the Porsche test driver, who knows these cars intimately, to say the least.
And so to speak, it came out of the box quite well, because it was a basket case when it got here, and it's been very, very fast.
Well, Bernd Schneider runs a second and a half back, but now let's see what his problem might be in traffic earlier this lap.
Oh boy.
Ooh, hang on.
See, that is one of the risks you take when you dive into a place like that. The guy in the Celine Mustang had no clue that he was coming through.
Now, this is a busy racetrack, very busy. And I would think of all the tracks these guys run, this is one of the more difficult tracks for the GT2 cars to really watch the mirrors and know what's going on behind them, because there's so much going on in front.
Well, if you look at the layout of the racetrack, watch how just driving the normal line, you know, because you have interconnected corners. Oh boy, that's one of the factory Porsches, the 6 car. That's Stuck in 4th place.
Well, he needs that piece to fly off of there, and then, you know,
we can see.
So he can see where he's going.
We can see.
So we can see where he's going too.
Curbs there someplace to knock him free.
That's Bootson's helmet. I'm sorry, guys. That's Bootson's helmet in there.
Well, he's obviously made contact, I think, probably with a back marker, and torn off that right front fender, as you can see it right there, folded up over the hood.
Now, this is, again, too early for the first pit stop to come in and refuel, change tires, and change drivers.
That's a neat shot. This is, of course, the point at which you don't want the car to be as strong as it is.
Yeah, exactly. That piece needs to go away, and we have now a super modified Porsche front view.
Yeah, but that's nice, because we, at least on that camera angle, we can see.
Yeah, that's better than the other.
The tire wear, how's it doing?
Doing good so far. You know, that it's aggravating. That piece is so strong it just won't fly off of there. He's gone down the straightaway already. And
you know what? It looks like what's holding it on is the wiring loom
for the headlights.
I think it's the headlight wiring loom that's holding it on.
He's approaching the pit entrance here. Is he going to stay out, or is he going to come in?
He's coming
in. So we could see Hans Stuck ready to climb in that Porsche. And you see what happens.
There you go. Now, is that not...
falls off. The light's still on.
Well, that wiring harness is very strong. We know that.
Greg Kramer is down there for the driver change and the pit stop.
Well, Gary, it was interesting as he was coming into the pits with that bodywork in his face. He had to make 2 turns just to make sure he could see where he was. Boutsen is out, Stuck is getting in, and as you see, they have not been able to start refueling because they wanted to get the bodywork taken care of. The good thing is they had an entire front clip ready to come over with all of the ducting in the under tray. That appears okay. It's just the outer shell itself. Now they're taking on tires. Stuck is behind the wheel. Once this is all done, we suspect they're going to put in the refueling and top off. Again, Again, they're going to be a little bit out of sequence. They're just going to have to deal with that to the end. But this Porsche AG team going after the repairs right now. Stuck is ready to go. And looks like most of the repair work is done. Everybody's cleared the car. The car's down. The refueling rig now goes in. That's the procedure that they have to use here. It's the rules. Refueling on one side and venting on the other of that nose. Once that's done, they'll be clearing away.
Now, this is $1 million race car, so how much damage are we talking about here in the front flip?
Well, routinely, those nose sections on these Porsches usually cost about $30,000.
I'd say every bit of $30,000 for that little punch right there.
So you can assume they'll put that back in the hauler, and some lucky fan won't take that souvenir.
No, that'll go back to the factory, and you know, they'll rebuild it. Here's a replay. This is in the hairpin, last corner leading onto the main straightaway. There's that Mustang again. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and there's the damage on both that we see as it's taking that fender completely off.
Tough spot to have a wreck. One, because it's so far away from the pit entrance, because you've just passed the pit entrance.
Here we go in car. Good look at it right now. There's the Celine car up in there.
And it looks like the
comes over on him.
The Panos went up the inside, and I guess the Boutsen thought, well, I'm just going to follow him through. The hole is there. I'm just going to follow him through, and that did not work out.
But now, how does that take them out of the pit sequence? Because theoretically, they're to run about an hour until the first stop. Now they stop at about 38 minutes into this event. Could this make for 3 stops for this team?
Well, it could. The good news is that with the exception of the 2 lead cars right now, or excuse me, the top 3 cars, a lot of the other cars are out of pit sequence here, so it might not be a big problem for them.
So once again, your leader, and there's the damage that rear that Mustang in that collision in turn 11. And Greg, I think perhaps you can amplify on that damage, that Mustang.
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I've got Jerry Boutsen here who was driving the Porsche at the time. Was it one of the Celine Mustangs that you had contact with, Jerry?
Well, he ran on top of my car. I mean, we went together into the hairpin. I thought he'd let me go like everybody does. And instead of that, he just turned to get into the apex, but I was there. So it just ran into me, ran on top of the front end of my car. So there's nothing I could do. I had to come back slowly, change the nose, and that's it. But it's really, he made a really bad move, and we lost the race.
Was the car working after the incident? Do you know, is the car okay, or do you have to wait?
The car's absolutely right. It's just bodywork that went. It's a shame, because either you destroy it completely or you don't do anything, but something like this is totally stupid.
All right, Jerry, tough luck.
Well, another Porsche up in front once again, Alan McNish. Right now about a 3.6 second advantage over Bernie Snyder in the AMG Mercedes.
For over 40 years, one magazine has captured America's love affair with automobiles better than any other, Car and Driver. And if you act now, you can get a full year subscription for only $14.97. Each month, Car and Driver brings you the inside story on what's hot and what's not in the automotive world. You'll get the first sneak previews of today's new cars, plus straight talk from the industry's most respected journalists. And no other magazine gives you more road tests than Car and Driver. Comparison and head-to-head testing that pulls no punches, pitting car against car, from premier luxury vehicles to SUVs to affordable compact models. And if you call now, we'll include with your paid subscription this classic Car and Driver logo windbreaker, a guaranteed great look both on the road and off. Call 1-800-825-7581 right now to order a full year of Car and Driver for just $14.97, a savings of more than $25 over the newsstand price. Call now.
White, you're the Snake.
I sure am. Meet my new driver, Larry.
I got this, Snake.
Hey, the kid's fast.
Whoops. Guess I'm on empty.
Here, use this. The official NHRA MasterCard. But watch it, son. It's a killer.
Be a mover and shaker yourself with an official NHRA MasterCard credit card through MBNA. To apply, call now for your choice of 9 custom NHRA cards. You'll get a low introductory annual percentage rate, no annual fee, and all the benefits it takes to really shake things up.
That sure is some card, Mr. Prudhomme.
It's smoking.
Yeah, I'm calling to apply for one of those NHRA MasterCards.
The kid's smart, too. Apply now yourself for the hottest card in town, the official NHRA MasterCard. Call now and get things shaking.
Alan McNish continues to lead in the white Porsche. That is a Mercedes behind him, but that's Alexander Wirtz, who is now 2 laps off the pace in car number 12. And we anticipate within a few laps the first of our scheduled routine pit stops.
Yeah, look at this. This is a race for the lead here going up the hill. These are the 2 leaders.
That's Schneider, actually. It wasn't Wirtz, and that is the race for the lead right now.
Look at that. Oh. So Kellner's
close from almost a 2-second deficit.
Oh.
Only go by the numbers are hard to read. We have to go by the mirror color.
Oh boy, here we go in traffic.
Yeah, the Schneider car's got the yellow mirrors and the Wirtz the orange, and this is a good battle right now for the lead of this race.
So look at the Porsche getting defensive there. The Mercedes ought to get a better shot here onto the straightaway. Of course, they're coming up on the 2 Vipers that are running, and the 2 Vipers ahead are racing each other, and those Vipers are quick cars. They're the quickest cars in the GT2 category, and looks like the Porsche is going to try and stick it down in here into turn 2.
And Byrne follows suit and cleanly makes it by.
Well, that's the way you like things to happen, but that's only one of the Vipers.
Yeah, we got one more.
One to go. And here, this is kind of an awkward place to make it happen.
That's not a good place to catch that car.
Oh, we saw the lights on the Viper go on. That was a signal to the 2 faster cars that he was aware of their presence. So that was good defensive driving.
Yeah, they do use their turn signals in these cars. If they want you to pass on the left, they'll put their left turn signal on. If they want you to pass on the right, they'll put their right turn signal on. Now, I've noticed the lead car's had its right turn signal on for about 15 minutes here. I don't think
he wants everybody to pull over. It's a better deal.
That's when you put your 4-way flashers on.
Oh, watch this. This is up in the braking zone for the air chicane, whatever you call it.
That'd be the corkscrew.
Corkscrew. I couldn't come up with it.
That's kind of a chicane.
Let's rename it right here, right now.
It's that twisty little part.
So right now we have to question, will Schneider be content now that he's caught the Porsche to let McNish lead, or does he want the lead as we are nearing that first routine pit stop?
Yeah, that's what you might be seeing here right now is the Porsche running off its tires right at the end of its fuel stop, because it is about time to make a pit stop, and that Mercedes has closed that gap all of a sudden very, very quickly.
You know, we were told that the starting driver of this Porsche was McNish, but on the scoring monitor, it has Kellner. So there is somewhat of a question mark on who's actually in that Porsche.
Yeah, and I just asked the guys in the booth, and they say it is McNish. You know, it's very difficult to know at times, and they can make last-minute decisions on who's going to start these cars. And without an in-car camera to look in that car and see who it is, it's very hard to know. But we think it's McNish.
Now, we were told that Schneider would start this number 11 car. Schneider did, in fact, start the car last week before yielding to Klaus Ludwig.
They don't always like to share information.
Well, you know, there's a lot of strategy there, too, because a lot of other teams will react off of what another team will do. As, for instance, if the fast drivers, we have a big fire at the back of a 911 here. The 66 Conrad car has erupted a motor, and the oil, of course, has caught fire. He's out, and that car's safe, but that was a pretty good flash fire right there. It looks like he might have lost a motor.
Oh, leaders on pit lane, leaders on pit road, and that is McNish. And you can see him undoing the belts in the car. And Greg Kramer's there. Let's go down.
Well, very quickly, they go right to the driver's change, and the number 7 Porsche comes in behind, so both of those cars are in, and right away, the driver's change being completed. Alan McNish out, Ralph Kellner's on board, and you can see they can do a driver change while refueling. It's just they cannot do any work on the car. The mechanics literally a half-inch away from the drive pegs on the wheels, ready to start the drills and the air guns as soon as the refueling is done. Kellner's is in, he's buckled up, he's connected his water bottle and belts. They're just waiting for all that fuel to go in. Again, they've got to make another hour here, and they get word fuel is in, and they right away they go after changing tires. Same process in the number 7 machine behind them. A little bit slower, obviously, in just a little bit later. All they've got to do now is get the tires on. They're going to send this car right back in it. Again, Ralph Kellner's will be the driver.
And did you guys notice the what we call an idiot card for the driver with all the little notations?
Yeah, and what that was, having driven this car, he was telling the driver to do there, you saw a bunch of different commands, you know, ignition and so forth. It'll say reset on there. That is a fuel consumption gauge. So in other words, right now it's out of fuel. They're filling it up, and when you push the reset button, it goes back to a full tank, and then it can count backwards, and you can see the fuel used. Here is the Mercedes coming in for its routine pit stop now.
And you can also see the driver there, Schneider, loosening the belts, taking the belts down, loosening up, getting ready. Of course, very slow pit lane speed, about 60 kilometers per hour. And they're ready. Look at all the photographers gathered around there.
We'll see if how they do their pit stop. It's kind of interesting that Porsche decided to fuel first and do the work second. You can't do one or the other. Right now, we see the Porsche leaving the pits, so it is going to resume its lead of the race.
You know, I'm sure all the NASCAR fans out there that are watching this think that these guys are real weenies for not doing the work on the car and doing the pit work at the fueling at the same time. But that's just the rules. Everyone has to do it the same way. Let's go back down to Greg.
Well, one of the cars that's playing in that points race in GT2 now in the number 51 Orica Viper team, Olivier Beretta has brought that car in. He's going to turn it over to Philippe Gache. And again, they are just doing the change. They've got the fuel in. Now they can go after any other repairs. Very, very quick stop. They did not go, well, they did. They did not go for tires. Now, remarkable. They were going after, you could see some of the smoke coming off of the brakes. They were working them hard, but they like what's happening with the tires.
Interesting pit strategy.
Well, that was indeed very fast not to take on tires. That shows a lot of confidence on wear on the Viper team.
So Klaus Ludwig now in the number 11 Mercedes, taking over from Bernd Schneider.
And of course, this will vault Steve Soper in the number 8 BMW McLaren up into the lead. But of course, that car will need to stop shortly as well.
Gugnon would be second, Olofsson third, and Betcher would be in 4th position. This was
look up in front there. Inside in-car camera, we just saw a huge puff of smoke come out of that is the Conrad Porsche burning. That is the oil coming out of the bottom of the block and igniting off of the turbos.
Another Viper in trouble.
Boy, that's a snap spin. That is a real snap spin. You can see he just turned the wheel there, coming up onto the old course, and that thing just snapped.
Oh, well, look at this. This is the Conrad car that we assume blew up, and he's trying to refire that, and then it is blown up. That might be just a turbocharger fire that we saw. You lose a turbocharger seal, and it pumps raw oil right into there. As right now we see the stop on the lead car, which is the Soper McLaren.
That's the number 1. Well, the McLarens are coming at the same time. Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, both of the number 1 and number 2 Gulf Team Davidoff McLarens are in. Anders Olofsson, Geoff Lees in the number 1 machine. And the number 2 machine, the pit quarters down here so cramped they literally had to push the car back to be able to reach the refueling rig. They've done that now, and they are effecting a driver's change only in the number 2 car, so they're leaving the starting driver in car number 1, and again, they're doing the refueling. Then they're going to take a look at tires. We'll see whether they decide tires are going to have to be changed, but again, Gulf Team Davidoff McLarens, both of the lead cars are in, and no driver's change in the first car. A little strategy being employed.
Boy, there's some big Keystone Cops activity going down there in the Davidoff Gulf Team McLaren pit.
Well, they weren't getting the fuel in, and the fuel hose that was bringing the fuel in was actually laying down below the height of the roof, so it wasn't flowing, and the guy on the other side, of course, the vent man, disengaged the car before it was fueled.
So Steve Soper right now in number 8 has assumed the lead through this series of pit stops, but that BMW will have to stop, and that would probably give the lead back to perhaps the Porsche of McNish and Kelleners.
Attention! Bring the 407 home.
For 11 years, they brought their wit and warmth into our homes every week.
She outranks you. She's got more things on her uniform.
She's got more things in her uniform.
And living in a war zone, they always reminded us how important life was.
There's an even bigger obscenity around here. It's called the war.
Now, to celebrate the 25th anniversary of MASH, you can bring the 407 home with MASH, the Collector's Edition. The first 3 half-hour episodes are just $4.95 with your paid subscription. You'll also receive this great MASH T-shirt with your first order.
We're a hit.
So relive every unforgettable moment with MASH, the collector's edition.
Klinger, I want to see you out of that dress tonight.
Never on a first date, sir.
So don't just sit there. Call now and bring the 4077 home. The first video includes 3 Dynamite episodes and this MASH t-shirt for just $4.95 with your paid subscription. Call now.
Call 1-800-319-2929.
Well, a guy just told me I gotta have this ready in 52 seconds. Maybe that's why they call it Speed Vision.
Catch Bruce Dern on Speed Vision's Lost Drive-In every Saturday night at 11 Eastern at midnight Pacific.
You're looking at John Margugnon has just brought the Gulf Team Davidoff car in, car number 3, and he'll turn that over to Raphael on the driver change and the pit stop. Greg, back to you in the pit lane.
Well, the car that has had, I should say, the driver leading in GT2, the Viper, has just completed his stop. Justin Bell out, and Tommy Archer now behind the wheel. Once again, a fairly quick stop, although this car, they did go after changing tires. So apparently they may have noticed something when the number 51 car came in that they didn't like. Put some tires on the number 52 car. Archer now behind the wheel.
Well, your lead car has also made a pit stop. Steve Soper was in to turn that car over to Ravaglia, and here is the number 12 Mercedes.
And Verts brings this car down onto pit lane, and I assume that we'll see Greg Moore get in this car now.
Oh, we got McLaren.
That looks like the Parabolica McLaren on the right, and one of the factory BMW cars on the left.
And that's on the fast. No, that's not on the fast.
That's turn 5.
That's turn 5, and they're in the gravel pit and stuck.
8.
That
had been the lead car, number 8, Steve Soper and Roberto Ravaglia. Ravaglia had just gotten in on the pit stop, so that car had just left the pit lane.
And the 27 car there was running up in 3rd position, so that car was running very well before their pit stop.
Now keep in mind the Peter Cox car is already out, so this, with the problem with this car, could give the championship to Bernd Schneider.
And here we are on board. That's Greg Moore, the familiar helmet there from CART IndyCar.
As he leaves the pit lane, taking over command of that Mercedes. Now, we're kind of interesting situation with that BMW stuck in the gravel trap down there. That could, in fact, bring out a full course caution. But last time, Jeremy, we were talking about that before. They didn't do that. They sent a tow truck out for a localized yellow, something you don't see very often.
You don't see that over here very often, although the FIA seems a little more hesitant to put cars under, put the race under full course yellow. They like to try and get these incidents cleaned up and without going under full course yellow and let everyone just race. So based on what they did earlier in the race, I'm not sure we're going to see a full course yellow here.
Greg Moore now in the Mercedes in car number 12, teaming with Alexander Verts. This is the car that was the fast qualifier yesterday, and that's a qualifying section of just over 103.3 miles an hour. Once again, 42 drivers starting this race. 20 of those in the GT1 class and 22 in GT2 down to the corkscrew. We've got a great crowd on hand here this afternoon.
Yeah, I think there's huge interest in these FIA GT cars. They are so exotic, and these people have come to see them for the first time in the United States. For those who didn't attend Sebring last week, from my standpoint, guys, I love them. I think these are cool.
And again, it was a real effort to box these cars up, not just the cars, but also the transporters, and ship them over to Florida, unpack everything, race, and then load up the transporters and drive 3 days across the country. So again, up in front on that series of pit stops, Ludwig now has the advantage. We're still showing Soper in the 6th position, although we also saw him off in the gravel trap.
Which would be right in front of us, right up here, is where that car should be sitting.
Yeah, he just went out of frame there.
That's the most frustrating thing in the world, to be sitting there within that close to the racetrack, unable to do anything whatsoever but sit and wait for help.
It's the good news, bad news with gravel traps these days. The good news is he never hit the tire wall. He hasn't done a lot of damage.
That's true. The bad news is he's stuck there.
The design of this gravel trap, the gravel does not go all the way to the tire wall.
Well, and really, he probably should have been on the throttle trying to drive it out of the gravel. It's just as you're heading for the wall, even though you know you're in the gravel and you're probably not going to get to the wall, it's tough to make yourself go back to the throttle and try and drive yourself out.
Yeah, we're back with the Mercedes as it comes on. That's the Panos behind it coming onto the front pit straightaway there.
Miles Ludwig now enjoying over a 30-second advantage over the Yannick Damas, number 7 entry. So right now we're starting to see a little strategy develop, and right now the Mercedes out in front where it needs to be to take the championship.
This Speed Vision program is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. For over a decade, the #1 name in restoration parts for Chevelles, El Caminos, Monte Carlos, GTOs, Tempest, and Le Mans has been Original Parts Group. They have the largest selection anywhere because Original Parts Group manufactures most of the parts they sell, giving them complete control of quality and stock. Customer service is the top priority at Original Parts Group, and to prove it, you have a 100% money-back guarantee. Call 1-800-CHEVELLE for your free catalog and compare the discount pricing. Call Original Parts Group today at 1-800-CHEVELLE.
It takes so little to save our rivers and oceans for future generations. If we use less toxic household cleaners, we protect a little. Fewer lawn care chemicals, a little more. And recycling used motor oil gains us so much. In fact, there are many things we can do in our everyday lives that can help stop water pollution forever. Clean water. If we all do a little, we can do a lot. Brought to you by the Natural Resources Defense Council and the Ad Councils of the U.S. and Japan.
Back at Laguna Seca, on board with the car running in 4th position, the Porsche Construct, now 50 seconds behind the leader. But let's just ride a lap here and see what type of traffic he has to negotiate.
Well, this is the view you would get if you were brave enough to strap yourself right alongside Mr. Stuck on the right front fender. That's what you're looking at as he negotiates turn 3 right now. You'll be able to hear the audio here as he comes through this corner, upshifting with the sequential gearbox. At the end of the straightaway, listen to the turbo dump the waste gate, dump all the boost on it. You hear the psst right there. Of course, the quick downshifts, characteristic of that gearbox.
And from here up to the top by the corkscrew, it's all uphill.
I love this corner. That's just the best corner there.
This is an awesome corner as the hill itself gives you so much G-load that it's got huge grip as he catches one of Celine Mustangs at a very inopportune times up here. Look at this, look at this. Oh, I don't know if they touched. They might have touched right there.
One of those deadly Mustangs. Those Mustangs have been deadly today.
They have been magnetic to these GT1 cars.
Let's go back to the pit lane and Calvin Fish.
Olivier Grouillard, you're obviously very warm. The Panos is a very difficult car to drive with the front engine, a lot of heat build up in the cockpit, correct?
No, it's not a very difficult car to drive because the engine is on the front. It's only because the GT car is hard to drive. But because, okay, I did a bad start, but after that the car was very good.
So you got into a problem. It looked like you got into an incident in lap traffic there and obviously lost a little bit of time. How is the car running now that you're back up, up to speed?
No, the car is okay now. We lost just a little time because we don't have enough power on this kind of engine. But in fact, the car is very good.
And I understand that the other car, the number 5 car, has a slightly more powerful engine in, and you guys didn't, you got the short straw. You didn't get the heavy-duty engine for this weekend. A little less power than the number 5.
Yes, number 5 and have more power than the first, but there is only one engine for 2 cars. It's difficult.
Okay, well, Dave Price made the call, and there's going to be Brabham in the other car, and these guys are obviously running strong in the top 10.
Well, what he's talking about there, guys, with it's just tough, he says, driving a GT car. There's a lot of weight in the car there, and of course, it doesn't have the downforce and the tires and the mechanical grip that this GT1 Porsche we're looking at has. So because of that, there's a lot of sliding along going on. There's a lot of counter steering that these other guys don't have to do, and physically, it is a lot more demanding to drive that GT car than it would be to drive one of these higher down.
And no matter what he says about heat in those cars,
it's hot in those
front engine car, no matter what you do, a front engine car is going to be hot.
And aside from the front straightaway, which is an uphill climb here in Laguna Seca, this is a very busy racetrack where there's no real area to relax for a driver.
That's a very good point, because the whole pit straightaway is upshifting, and of course, like Jeremy says, when you get to turn 1, it's blind, a hard brake zone as you go into 2. So you're working out all the way as we have pit stop now on the 17 car.
Boy, these guys these guys are taking their time, boy.
No hurry on Mauro Baldi's pit stop. It looks like they're just cleaning the windshield and adding fuel at this point anyway. Of course, they cannot work on the car while they're fueling short of what they're doing, so we don't really know yet.
There's our crew members there. There they are.
No drivers change. Calvin, you're down there. They're not changing drivers.
That's correct. Jean-Pierre Jabouille, the ex-Renault Formula 1 driver, oversees this team, and Mauro Baldi is staying behind the wheel. So this is just a routine stop, no driver change at the moment. And actually, Mauro is actually trying to adjust his seat as the team goes to work, and they're trying to get all the fuel in right now. And there seems to be a problem here with the pit stop. I'm not sure quite at the moment what the problem is, but there's no fuel going in. And there's a problem with the left rear. Actually, they're taking off the back of the car, and they're going to work right now. Jean-Pierre Jabouille tries to direct, and they're actually pointing towards, there's actually a loose clip, and that looks like it's on the turbocharger. And it's like a Jubilee clip, which obviously seals that pressure, and if that's actually loose, it means that he's not going to get full boost pressure, and he's going to be losing power out on the racetrack.
Now, for all of our Porsche fans out there, another great look at this car. You know, we're used to 911s being rear-engine cars. That is not a rear-engine car. That is a mid-engine car with the engine in front of the rear wheels, which is one of the reasons why this car works so well.
An absolutely great observation by Calvin as you see them now working on the clamp. That little orange hose there connects the two ends of that together, and it's extremely hot in there. That's the turbocharger boost side. It's a pressurized side. Without that that clamp on, it's gotten no advantage, no mechanical advantage from the turbocharger. So it's it was a really good observation for Calvin to see that.
Well, this team had been back in 13th position, 3 laps off the pace, but they certainly will lose a lot more valuable time in the pit lane. Baldi does, after adjusting his seat in the cockpit, remain on board. Now let's look at the number 51 car. This is the Gauche entry, leading the GT2 class, and another Porsche making a pit stop. Is that the
that's our 5th place car?
It's our car that we've been riding in, Calvin.
Thierry Boutsen is going to get back in. Remember, Thierry had the incident with the back marker earlier in the race coming into the final turn here. And Hans Stuck has obviously done a great stint. He was taking time out of the leader, but they obviously lost valuable time. They're about a minute behind. Stucky is getting out. He's helping Thierry get bolted in. And meanwhile, the crew go to work. They're actually refueling right now. And as we mentioned before, there's a vent actually on the opposite side. They don't have the refueling rig set where they have the fuel and the vent going in together. So it's a 2-man job to get the refueling done. Meanwhile, the tire technicians outside of the team are allowed to look at the tires and check progress with the tires, but no team member may touch the car until refueling is done. And now the crew goes to work. Air jacks are in, and the guys go for a 4-tire change. This team is actually running Michelin tires. We're going to have a word with Stucky over here. Hans, you look a little bit angry. What is the problem?
Yeah, because the car is off the pace now. Because Thierry had this crash. I don't know. It can happen, but all we do is good for nothing, you know.
The problem with the car on the track, we noticed on the timing monitor, Hans, that you were actually taking time out of the leader at one stage, but obviously the balance of the car has been destroyed with that incident.
Yeah. The car is okay so far. We're having a bit of a gearbox problem. It doesn't want to collect second gear, so once going down in turn 2, the gear jumped out, so I flat spotted my front tire, so they're going to lose lots of time, and I'm very upset, you know. It's very shit.
Obviously very frustrating being the last race of the season. You guys really wanted to come away with a victory here at Laguna.
Yeah, but now for us it's over.
Okay, sorry, buddy.
Well, you know, I wish he would get more animated.
Yeah, well, you know, if we were on network television, there'd be some bleeping going on there.
I've co-driven with Struck before, and I tell you what, there's a guy here that is so deeply competitive. He wants to win so bad, and what the frustration you're seeing is because he was making up the ground that they had lost when they came together with a backmarker car, and all that trouble that he just went through there has been thrown away as he's flat spotted his tires and been forced to make yet another unscheduled pit stop.
And change the tires.
And change the tires, which they wouldn't have had to do more than likely.
Which we were talking about. There was good potential that they would not have to do that for their last stint. So
Terry Boot's in the car right now. They lose another lap because of the pit stop. And now they're being shown back in 8th position as you look at the GT1 interval there. Again, now only 5 drivers on the lead lap. Anders Olafsson will be back in the 5th position. Rapinel will be 4th. 3rd is now Kellener's. Then Damas and the Wallach car 2nd. And of course the Mercedes of Klaus Ludwig and Bernd Schneider continues to lead.
You know, ideas and inventions come from people in all walks of life. And most of the century's top inventions came from individuals, not companies. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? Are you interested in trying to submit your idea to companies for a good faith review and in trying to patent it as well? If so, Invention Submission Corporation has information to help you get started. ISC is America's largest inventor service firm with over 50 offices nationwide. Call this toll-free number now to see how to get this free information. The information includes forms to assure confidentiality, a form to record and date your idea, plus an informative brochure that explains how to submit your idea to companies through ISC's data bank and how to apply for a patent. Even if you only have an idea for improving an existing product, you'll want to call now for ISC's free information.
For your inventor's information, call toll-free 1-800-269-3388. That's 1-800-269-3388.
Back with the FIA GT Championship, the final race of the 1997 season, coming to you from the U.S. of A. Laguna Seca Raceway. California won 2 races on American soil this year. They had 2 in England and 2 in Germany. And of course, the 2 here in America. Plus, they've raced in Finland and Belgium, Austria, Japan, and Italy to comprise the 11th race series. And right now, as the race continues, it looks like the championship is Bernd Schneider's to win or lose.
Yes, it is right now, but you know, we've got a little more than 1 hour to go. The Porsches have been very quick. Let's not forget that leading Mercedes gained much of its advantage, which is only 18 seconds now, by the way. Not that long ago, it was about 23 seconds. So I'll bet those tires are starting to get a little gnarly on that car. And there you can see the difference between the 47 car and the leader, more than 4 miles an hour. So, you know, let's not forget that car is going to lose some time in the pits on the tire change that it didn't make earlier.
Well, you said about 23 seconds. At one time it had been 29. Now it's down to only 16.6 seconds. So right now that lead Mercedes losing about 2 seconds a lap.
And they're going to be in rough shape. Now, after the next fuel stop, the shoe is going to be on the other foot, because the Porsches, if they elect not to change tires, they may get compromised in terms of lap time. So the last 15 minutes of the race might be quite a shootout.
And we are now into that final pit window.
As we have a car slowing, one of the McLarens is slowed almost to a stop now.
That's the Parabolica.
That's the Parabolica car, correct. That's a car in some sort of jeopardy. It's still moving on its own power, however.
We'll check the next time by to see how much of the lead has been chopped away again by Bob Wallach in that number 7 Porsche, teaming with the Yannick Damas.
And you know, the 7 car is sitting second right now. That's your second place car, the 7 car. But only 4 seconds behind him is the 47 car. So the Porsches are definitely coming down on the leading Mercedes. No question about it.
And as you said, Jeremy, that Mercedes made a lot of its gain by not taking tires and is now losing the same amount of ground. Probably, like you say, because those tires have been on there a long time right now.
Well, right now, still 16.7 seconds, the interval from first back to second. We understand that the team is getting ready for a pit stop on the Mercedes number 11. So Bernd Schneider will go back in to drive the final stint. So Ludwig has done his job. Klaus Ludwig will bring that Mercedes in momentarily. Now you can see that lead by just over almost 17 seconds now, 16.7.
Yeah, and that is making the difference when they catch traffic. They'll catch traffic and it'll go up and down a second or so more than what really is happening on the racetrack.
But you know, that's another issue, is that tire wear, it doesn't affect just your lap time, because these guys are constantly in and out of traffic. The more grip you have, the more leeway you have in terms of where you put the car and how you put it there, and the confidence you have to throw it into a gap that's barely there. So it really compromises you in so many ways.
You know, Wallach has something to prove, because he crashed his factory GT1 out while leading at Le Mans, so he wants to come back and make a statement here to wrap up the season this year.
Here's a Parabolica car that we saw slowing on the racetrack about a half a lap ago. It has found its way to pit lane, and now they're addressing whatever problems it might have.
Yeah, this is the car that skipped the round at Sebring, and oh, this is one of our, I believe this is one of our leading Vipers. Yeah, that is the lead Viper. That's Beretta and Gachet in the pit lane.
Was there a driver change there? The driver's side door is open.
You can, it looks like they've made a driver change. Fueling is complete. Now they're just going to do right side tires. I don't see anyone working on the left side there.
1 hour remaining in this 3-hour timed event, so 2/3 down. We still, as we watch the number 51 Viper being serviced, we anticipate the stop of the number 11 Mercedes. And right now that lead has dwindled down to 14.8 seconds. Let's see if Klaus Ludwig stays out one more lap.
Well, we saw Klaus come out of the corkscrew all crossed up there just a moment ago, so that is an indication his rear tires are used up.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
And he's coming in. You know, the next to last corner coming out of 10, he laid down 2 big strips of rubber. So that last lap was almost 2 seconds slower. Let's go down to Calvin, who's going to greet this Mercedes.
Okay, Jeremy, we're waiting a very slow pit lane speed limit here, and Klaus Ludwig, he's got some traffic in front of him. One of the Mustangs, I think it is, going to pull in front of him, and meanwhile they're directing the number 11 in. Klaus Ludwig, the veteran, is going to turn it over to the young Charger, who's going to be going for this championship here today. Bit of an incline here, so they obviously have to leave the car in gear so it doesn't roll back down this slope in Laguna Seca Raceway pit lane here. Bit of a problem for these guys, and Schneider has really pushed hard to have new tires changed this time. He is actually inspecting the tires that they had ready. They sit them on these little stands here in preparation for the tire stop. Meanwhile, the fuel stop is occurring. Schneider is behind the wheel, and Klaus Ludwig is helping him getting buckled in. As soon as they get that vent out and the fuel is coming out again, then they're going to go to work on the rest of the car. And it looks like they are going to do a tire change here. I see a gunman ready on the right rear, certainly, whether they're going to do front as well. And now the car goes into the air, and they're going to work. They're going to be changing the right rear. This might be a right rear change only. They're changing the left rear as well. They're not going to the fronts right now. And now they go to the fronts. Okay, they just got one gun on each side of the car. Fronts are being changed as well. New set of Bridgestone tires going on. And Schneider is waiting to fire up and head out of here and try and clinch this championship.
Well, Schneider has won 5 times this season. In 3 wins, he has teamed with Klaus Ludwig. Now, before he teamed with Alexander Wurz for 1 win. That was at Donington. And he also teamed with Marcel Tiemann at Suzuka for a win. So the new leader now
is Kellner's McNish in the car that led early on before its problem with the back one.
But what happened to the Damas and Wallach car?
Well, the 7 car, that's a great,
you know what? From second back to 5th.
That car must have made a pit stop. I'm looking up at the time they were scoring their last lap time at a 2:39. So that means they pitted, and that is that car. So that car's just come out of the pit lane.
And now the 2 Porsches 1-2 after making pit stops.
Well, that would put them, if they just made a pit stop, that would put them a lap behind.
Right, that car just went a lap down, but of course the lead car there, the 47 car, will have to stop shortly. So the question is, will they take on tires? That is the big question.
Oh,
he's pulling off the side.
Over like it's run out of gas. It might be that the thing has stumbled. It looked like he had to. It looked like he had to shake it to get the thing to pick up some fuel there or something.
So your leader is in trouble, and more than likely will be headed for the pit lane, as this is all downhill now. At least he could coast out of the pit entrance.
I think that's what they did. Remember when we saw the reset fuel button? These have a 1-gallon reserve in there, and it probably stumbled right there. He's pushed the reserve on now, and that's bringing him into the pits. I would expect a pit stop this lap.
Stop the torture and frustration of ordinary hair removal. It always grows back. Now you can remove unwanted hair forever. Introducing Total Perfection, your personal home electrolysis kit that permanently removes unwanted hair forever, gently and safely. Beautiful women around the world have spent a fortune on salon electrolysis. But now this breakthrough technology can be yours to use safely at home. Waxing is messy and irritating. Tweezing and plucking are painful and never-ending. Total Perfection is permanent. You don't have to waste money on salon hair removal or spend $100 or more for a quality in-home device. Total Perfection stops embarrassing hairs from growing back permanently. Shaving just removes the top of the hair shaft, and chemical hair removers dissolve the hair above the skin surface. Plucking and waxing yanks out the hair, painfully leaving the root, but it always grows back. Total Perfection sends a gentle current pulsing through the hair root, which removes it and prevents it from regrowing. Treatment takes just seconds. Total Perfection can be used on face, underarms, bikini lines, brows, or just about anywhere. The Total Perfection Personal Home Electrolysis Kit is yours for only $29.95. If not completely satisfied, just return for a full refund, less shipping and handling. And if you call now, we'll also include this hands-free makeup mirror with regular and magnifying surfaces. This gift alone is a $20 value. Put a stop to embarrassing, unsightly hair now. Order Total Perfection for only $29.95. To order, pick up the phone and call the number on your screen. Call right now.
To order Total Perfection, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-990-1881. That's 1-800-990-1881. Or send check or money order to Total Perfection, 8 American Way, Roanoke, Virginia. Call 1-800-990-1881 now. Sorry, no CODs.
Your leader heading for pit lane.
But you know, that little well, you could call it a mistake, but that cost him about 3 or 4 seconds on that lap. So that might have been a critical issue. You can see the car comes in.
Kellner's getting out, McNish going back in.
Well, no time loss on the driver change because the fuel stop takes too long. The real question is, are they going to put tires on this car, or are they going to lose track position doing that, or just go ahead and go with the thing as it is?
Also know that the number 12 Mercedes with Greg Moore on board is now coming in. They're running in 8th position, 2 laps off the lead. And Calvin, I think you're down there with that number 12.
Yes, I am, and it's coming in right now, Gary, and they're waiting for it here. Canadian Greg Moore brings it in. Remember, his countryman Jacques Villeneuve clinched that Formula One championship today, and Greg brings it in, hits the marks perfectly, and it's going to be the young Austrian Alexander Wurz, who's going to be driving for the Benetton team next year, is going to be taking over behind the wheel. We saw how cool he was in that earlier incident when he got knocked off going into that hairpin. And, he's now climbing in, and he's a tall guy, a bit like his fellow countryman Gerhard Berger. Tough for this guy to get in behind the wheel of this car, but Greg Moore helps him in. Again, routine stop, and the fill guys are doing their work, and the gunmen are ready on this rear wheel. The gunmen are ready on this rear wheel. As soon as the car goes up in the air, that thing is going to fire up. They're just waiting for that vent hose to actually get some return. There it goes, and then the gunman goes to work. They only have one gun on each side of the car, so the tire change takes a bit longer than we're used to seeing in sports car competition. Meanwhile, another team member goes to work on the right side. There you see some slight damage to the bodywork. Now they're on to the front, and again, a new set of Bridgestones for the number 12.
Interesting now that we have a new leader, first time this season for the number 3 car. The Gulf team, Davidoff McLaren, to be leading. Pierre-Henri Raffinel is out in front by some 18 seconds now over Bernd Schneider. So the stage is now set, the final hour of competition. Let's see if Schneider can win it and take the championship.
This is the great one, the ultimate driving machine. And if you don't know what that means, you're excused. But if, when you see this car, you're seized with an uncontrollable urge to plant yourself behind the wheel and head for the wide open spaces, then we're talking to you. The great one is an idea on wheels. The idea that there's more to driving than just moving from place to place in isolated indifference. The great one is 400 cubic inches of glistening engine. The great one is a superb road-handling chassis. The great one is bucket seats, carpeting, and a walnut-styled instrument panel. The great one is Pontiac GTO for 1967. Isn't it time you decided to ride the wide-track winning streak? great one is here.
Back at Laguna Seca for the FIA GT Championship, and your leader now is in the pit lane. First time this car has led all season. Led for a couple of laps on that pit sequence, and now this car is in for some service, and apparently no driver change.
Now you can see the crew member in there giving the driver some water. The crew member is inspecting the car. That's the Alessandro Nannini car, the 10 car. Let's go down to pit lane.
Marcel Tiemann jumps out, and it's going to be Alessandro Nannini. You can see there the car was actually backed up a little bit. They obviously overshot their pit just a little bit. They needed to get it back in position, and Alessandro is recovering from his helicopter crash that he had, where he had his right arm, which is obviously still has some damage, means that he can't drive a Formula 1 car competitively, but he's certainly very competitive in these sports cars, and he's ready to go back to work. He actually has to have a crew member assist him with the seatbelt because of his problem with his arm, and there he goes to work inside the cockpit there, and I believe it's his right hand which he has the problems with. He doesn't have full strength there, but he looks like he's comfortable. He's ready to go. The fill is in, and now the crew to go to work on a 4-tire change.
And meantime, with almost 52 minutes remaining, with the team Mercedes out in front, once again a 14.3-second lead for Bernd Schneider as he drives the anchor leg of race number 11 in this 11-race series, as he'll perhaps clinch the title on American soil.
14 seconds isn't insurmountable, but in the other event, 50 minutes, it's a lot of ground to make up in 50 minutes if all things go well.
Rafanel being shown in second position, Damas third, Kellner's fourth. We've had some driver changes, so McNish is back on board that number 47 Porsche. Damas may well drive the anchor leg on the number 7. And not sure if I think Rafanel stayed in the number 3.
And you know what? I think the 47 car, we broke away to the pit stop up in the Mercedes team. I think the 47 car, I think they had problems changing the right rear tire, because we saw just the end of that stop. And I've been watching the lap times, and that car is turning very slow lap times.
Well, we're watching the 47 right now up toward the corkscrew.
So a possibility they didn't get one of those tires changed.
Yeah, his last lap was a 124, and Bernd Schneider just did a 120.8, so he is flying.
Damas now being shown in second position, 18 seconds behind your leader. Rafanel now third. And then the 47 car of McNish would be in fourth position, with Terry Boots in fifth, and Anders Olofsson in sixth position. Those 6 remain on the lead lap. Then the Brabham number 5 would be showing 1 lap back in 7th position. Nannini 2 laps off the pace, and the Mercedes number 10 had been shown in 8th. Now 8th is being shown as Alexander Wirtz in number 12. Nannini is now 9th in number 10, and McCarthy is now 10th in number 4.
Well, of course, with 50 minutes to go, as you see a gaggle of cars negotiating. Of course, the Mustang amongst the middle of them, as always. Getting through traffic right there. 50 minutes to go. What I was going to say, there's no holding back now. Whatever you have, you better show it. So if you're running 4 seconds off the pace, there is definitely a problem.
There's definitely a problem. And as I said, Schneider's last lap was a 120.8, which is just flying. So he's in great shape right now, and I think the Porsches might be in not as good shape. A little flash there.
That's the golf car trying to let everyone that it's overtaking know that get out of my way, would you jerks? I'm trying to win a race here.
We go back on board in car number 12. Once again, talking about how hot that Viper is with the front engine, all the heat coming back through the cockpit area. So again, now about 45 minutes remaining in this 3-hour timed event from Laguna Seca.
This Speed Vision program is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
40 years, one magazine has captured America's love affair with automobiles better than any other, Car and Driver. And if you act now, you can get a full year subscription for only $14.97. Each month, Car and Driver brings you the inside story on what's hot and what's not in the automotive world. You'll get the first sneak previews of today's new cars, plus straight talk from the industry's most respected journalists. And no other magazine gives you more road tests than Car and Driver. Comparison and head-to-head testing that pulls no punches, pitting car against car, from premier luxury vehicles to SUVs to affordable compact.
Catch us if you can.
Bruno Eichmann being shown as the leader now in GT2 as we come back to you from beautiful Laguna Seca Raceway in Monterey, California. Eichmann now being shown 15th overall, 6 laps behind your leader, but leading the GT2 class.
Yeah, but the big deal right now is in the championship, of course, where we can see the 51. Oh, here's a Porsche off.
Another car off. 27, 97 off course. Kelly Collins and Dirk Blair and Court Wagner sharing that one. 3 American drivers starting near the back of the pack, but enjoying their afternoon out here. Well, maybe not right now they're enjoying it, but they have been.
They were enjoying it.
They were.
They found their way back, so they didn't get too.
You like to sometimes play in the sand on vacation, but not when you're racing.
That tends to be less enjoyable.
Now you started to say about the championship.
The championship in GT2 right now, the 51 car is sitting back 3rd in this class. So, and they're looking like they're in good shape for the championship. Although the Justin Bell car, the 52 car, looks like it's sitting 4th. So we're going to have to do a little bit of calculations on points there. I think maybe that 51 car is going to have to move up a position or two to clinch a championship.
Well, there are 4 points right now separating 1st and 2nd. Justin Bell leads with 60 points. And then Philippe Gachet and Olivier Beretta are 2nd, tied for 2nd with 56. And then it's Claudia Hurtgen and Bruno Eichmann tied with 55 points. So only 5 points separating the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers in the GT2 class.
Yeah, very, very tight. That battle certainly still wide open with only 40 minutes to go. It looks like Schneider is in great shape up front. Here's your GT2 intervals there.
Uwe Olsen sharing the 57 car with Claudia Hurtgen, former Super Cup champion. There's the Beretta entry back there in 3rd position. And you see in 6th was that Layer Collins Wagner portion that you just saw off track, car 97.
That's actually a great run for those guys, having started at the back of the field and not being. They're familiar with the GT2 cars in sports car competition, but not in the FIA competition.
Once again, up in front by some 19 seconds, Bernd Schneider looking for his 6th win of the season. And that would give him the FIA GT Championship. And let's once again go back to the pit lane, Calvin.
Well, I'm standing here with Hugo de Charnac, and Hugo, I understand that there was a penalty for an infraction in the pit lane. What was the problem?
The problem was during our last pit stop. It seems, because it surprised me, it seems that we have an excess speed in the pit and we have to do a stop and go for 10 seconds. But it cost us a lot because we were just leading the race, and it's very tight between the Porsche and our car, and we can lose the championship just on this penalty.
Obviously, you've had a lot of decisions to make in the last couple of weeks, Hugh. Certainly at Sebring, you chose to let the 51 car take the victory over Justin's car. You felt that you wanted to come in here and give everyone an opportunity to win this championship. Are you happy with that decision?
Yes, because I think that at Sebring the target was to have 2 cars able to win the championship here. And we chose to have these 2 cars because you never know if you have a mechanical failure. So it was, I think, the good strategy. But today the car of Justin and Tommy Archer is slower, and so we have just 51 for the fight.
Obviously, it's been a very successful year. How disappointed would you be if you fell a little short now at the final straw?
No, I cannot be very disappointed because the target was for Chrysler and for Dodge to win the Manufacturer Cup. I mean, the driver is just like a small bonus, but the most important thing for Chrysler Dodge is to win the Manufacturer Championship.
Okay, congratulations on winning the manufacturers, and there's still a little ways to go yet here. Okay, thank you.
Well, the 51 car, that one Viper being shown in 18th position. The team Viper 52 is now in 20th position overall. There you can see the Manish Kellner's comparison with the last lap that the leader ran.
Of course, a lot of that has to do with where the two race cars are on the racetrack and traffic, like you say. So, but without question, Schneider has been flying since he's gotten in that car. Nobody's been able to touch the speed he's showing right now.
Well, Schneider right now enjoying a 19, make that an 18.4 second lead over Yannick Damas. So once again, the championship is his to win or lose.
The very thought of you, and I forget to do the little ordinary things that everyone ought to do. It's just the thought of you, the very thought of you, my love.
Is a new career in your future? Call Motorcycle Mechanics Institute today and get on the fast track to success. MMI graduate and Harley-Davidson service manager Randall Richards knows what it takes.
When I'm looking to hire new technicians, I need to find somebody who has a broad background and a solid understanding of how Harleys work. You know, somebody who is serious and efficient, ready to go with on-the-job training. I can always find these qualities in an MMI graduate.
Call 1-800-994-3664 today.
Every Tuesday, climb on board with Speed Vision's motorcycle lineup. Two-Wheel Tuesdays. Catch us if you can.
Not a good sign, Jeremy Dale, as a tire goes rolling off. That's completely off the wheel.
No, and I think that's the car there. Yeah, there it is. It's
and the wheel's missing as well as the tire. The tire is separate. It looks like he's driving along on a rotor. I can't quite see it.
Now that's the center. That's the center hub of the wheel, Dorsey. So the center hub, it's a three-piece wheel, 2 parts to the rim, 1 part to the center hub. It all just became separated there, and I have to believe that that's some contact with something to do that.
You would certainly think so. If there is any luck in all this, it happened 1 turn before the pit end, so he at least got the thing to the pit lane. But I agree with you. Something must have broken that center, and usually that is as a result of contact. But the fender flare doesn't look like it's damaged in any way.
And of course, the driver motioning for a consultation there with one of the crew members.
Yeah, that car was sitting way back in 27th overall, so not a real contender in the GT2 class.
Just over 30 minutes remaining. Is that the GT2 leader right there being lapped? That's the 52 car. So once again, your leader enjoying now a 17-second advantage. So we have seen that go from about 16 seconds up to 22nd. And now back to 17. So Calvin, any information in the pit lane?
Well, we're looking here at the Mercedes hierarchy. They're observing the world feed here that they have piped down to their pit. They're also watching the scoring monitors, and in the middle of this bunch is obviously Greg Moore, the Canadian, who jumped out of the number 12 machine. But so far, it looks like the business is normal here. And these guys are really on a charge this year. For instance, in Formula 1, they scored their 3rd victory here today, and they've got 9 victories in IndyCar, and this will be their 6th victory in the FIA GT Series, making a total of 18. So it's certainly been a very successful year for Mercedes. All they're looking for now is that Drivers' Championship for Bernd Schneider.
Calvin, I wonder if they've mentioned how much all this is costing them.
No, they haven't, Jeremy. I'm sure it runs into the hundreds of millions when they put on an effort like that, but they obviously feel it's worthwhile. They've obviously got a lot of new road cars on the market right now, and this is what their motorsports program is all about. They want the cars winning on the racetrack, and this turns into sales, and the U.S. is turning into a big market for Mercedes-Benz, so it's very important for them.
Well, in the meantime, while we were doing all that, just to answer the Mercedes realm here and how things are going, the new fast lap of the race has just been set by Yannick Damas. Bob Wallach, number 7 Porsche, is just set the fastest lap, so it is answering the challenge as far as speed goes.
Yet in doing so, it lost about a second to the leader.
Well, that's a traffic
18 seconds back.
That's quite a lap he just turned, though, at almost a 120 flat again.
But we were also seeing that Mercedes was sliding around just a bit.
Which is surprising, although I don't think that was a tire issue. I think that was just youthful exuberance or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think he was just really running the car hard. I don't think it's like the tires are going away on that Mercedes at all.
And ironically, he did that all under the eyes of his bosses, which were watching our live feed. And he might have got an earful out of, like, keep that thing on the racetrack, and otherwise you have a flat tire. You joke.
Speaking of keeping on the racetrack, here's the 12 car. Alexander Wirtz.
As I said.
And I think these two were running
10. That's the 10 car.
And these two were running nose to tail on the racetrack. So
I guess that was Nannini that went off and not Alexander Wirtz.
Well, they didn't lose a lot of ground, or he did lose a lot of ground there, but we don't yet know what caused that off-track excursion.
Alexander Wirtz back in 8th and Nannini back in 9th. You know, you have to ask, though, if there becomes a problem on one car, could it happen to team cars? And really, with just under 30 minutes left, you know, the championship is not totally that secure yet.
Well, nothing is secure until the checkered flag. This looks like he did this all by himself, just got down into turn 2 a little too hot and drove it off into the dust.
Actually, 3 very good attempts at saving that. In fact, did save it from going around. But that was all by himself there.
Johnny Damas once again back there in 2nd position, 18 seconds behind Bernd Schneider. Raphael now being shown in 3rd. McNish is now in the 4th position, and Boutsen is now 5th.
And a tough day for this team, the factory BMW team. Their championship was at Sebring. They were looking great. They burned a car to the ground there, lost the lead in the championship, and this is about the worst race they've had all year. And certainly they're not going to remember America very fondly after this whole trip.
And in the meantime, looking up at the leaderboard right there, the 2 lead cars, the Mercedes and the Porsche, continuing to lap at record speeds at the low 120s. There is a race going on, although they're not together on the racetrack. They are swapping fastest laps almost a per race basis.
Soper had been teamed with J.J. Lato. Together they had won 3 races, make that 4 races this season, and came into this event only 3 points behind Bernd Schneider in the championship. But obviously both those drivers have effectively been taken out. Lato early on as they went to different cars at the start of this event. And the Soper is just kind of motoring about right now, back in the 13th position, some 5 laps off the pace. Once again, only 17 seconds separating 1st and 2nd. That can be deceiving, though, because traffic can play a role. And also, the leader can cool it for a couple of laps, cool the tires off, and get right back on it and up that advantage. So once again, the lead belongs to Bernd Schneider.
This Speed Vision program is brought to you by Porsche, who wish to remind you there is no substitute.
2 nearly identical Porsche 911s. One destined for Le Mans, the other for a quieter life in America. But then again, expecting any Porsche to lead a quiet life may be asking a bit too much.
Hi.
Porsche, there is no substitute.
No, this one's on us, sir.
Right.
If you're a real car enthusiast, you should be reading Auto Week every week. For true car lovers, once a month is not enough.
Auto Week has the latest news because it's a weekly. You can stay up on top of everything.
All the new models, concept cars, SUVs, even collector cars are in Auto Week every week.
Auto Week will give you information on new models that really isn't available anywhere else.
All the racing news and analysis you could ever want when it's still hot.
I'm into going racing with my buddies, and Auto Week gives us information to talk about before it's old news. Anything with wheels, Auto Week has.
Call 1-800-445-3800 for 52 weeks of Auto Week and get these 3 special issues free. Places, the ultimate shopping guide, and our complete racing fan guide with track maps, driver profiles, everything. All for just $24.95. Call 1-800-445-3800 now for Auto Week.
If you only had time for one car magazine, Auto Week would be the one to read.
Call now.
The final minutes about to play out here on the 2.2-mile 11-turn beautiful road course at Laguna Seca Raceway here in Monterey, California, as we wrap up the 1997 FIA GT Championship season with the 2 races in the States. Last week at Sebring in South Central Florida, a race won by the number 11 Mercedes. And there's a time remaining for what would be 2 wins in a row for Bernd Schneider.
Yeah, it took them a while to get rolling along. The cars were fast out of the box. I mean, right from the very beginning, these Mercedes GT cars were very, very quick, but they had problems early on with reliability and just getting everyone up to speed. And it's a tremendous effort, and they really, in the last part of the season, just steamrolled over everyone.
Well, Bernd Schneider did not gain any points in the first outing at Hockenheim. Then he finished second at Silverstone for 6 and was not in the points at the Helsinki. And look at this, the 51 car is slowing.
Yes,
that is by design to allow the 52 team car to pass. So we're waiting to look for the Archer and Bell car to go around for position.
Yeah, and it's about 53 seconds behind, so it is a ways behind, and they want to make sure that they get it by.
Interestingly enough, talking about pass, the 3 Mercedes are trying to run together and get ready for that photo victory shoot. However, the third one can't get by the panels.
Well, you know, I've been involved in a situation like that where you're in the odd car out, and it's like, you know what? I don't want these guys having this nice photo op, so I'm going to just throw my car in here and, you know.
And how long did you work for that team, not counting the next day?
Well, you come to think that I never got the job with the team that was trying to get the photo op.
We're once again watching for Tommy Archer in the 52 to go around that 51 car.
Of course, they're talking about that now. They're trying to figure out where the 2 race cars are on the racetrack and make sure that this all happens, because we're quickly running out of time to make this thing a finish.
We know where 1 car is. It's in the infield section.
There's the other car.
There's the other one?
Yeah.
So he has time to make that pass. We can tell you 19.2 seconds now, the margin from first back to second. So Bernd Schneider on his way to his 2nd consecutive win here in the States and the FIA GT Championship.
Obviously, the banner of no effect. He would have had to stop by now if it was overheating the car, so that won't be a problem.
Now, it's not really covering the air ducts. We have the number 47 Porsche back in 3rd position. And we'll have at least 2 of the 3 Mercedes entries together for the photo op.
Well, they're still running pretty decent laps. They've slowed the pace down, obviously, but they're still circulating at the 121 mark, so that's still plenty quick around here.
Yeah, and that Panos is still in the midst of the Mercedes plan there.
Panos is being a pain.
A Panos.
Is what that's being.
We could see the checkered flag the next time by now. There are the Vipers. Did he get by?
Yeah, he's made
Yes, he did.
So now
that goes to 2nd. That should give the title in GT2 to Justin Bell.
And I'm sure they're going to photo op too, as the 2nd one of those Vipers will pull right up in there too.
We up to the top of the racetrack, down through the corkscrew for what could be the final time. And Bernd Schneider, Klaus Ludwig picking up another victory, his 6th of the season, the 4th for Ludwig.
2 turns to go, and it'll be all over with for the 1997 championship.
And they gingerly work into that turn 11 off the corner. Will we see the checkered flag this time?
There it is.
And here comes the photo op, side by side. The other Mercedes could not quite get up there.
Nicely ruined by the Panos, but I'm sure that was the idea.
There we go. Now they've formed it up.
If the two Vipers come together down the front straightaway for another photo opportunity, as the Tommy Archer, number 52, will take 17th position, but that will be good enough for 2nd in class and give Justin Bell unofficially the title by 1 point. Here they come right together on the racetrack. And there is
I'll
There's
tell you
Eichmann
guys.
right there.
I'll tell you guys.
First, second, third, right together.
The 56 car, yeah, that is for position. So if he could get around that 56 car, that's for position.
And screw up the photo.
Oh,
What
boy.
is this?
Oh, boy.
What is this?
Oh, boy.
What was that all about?
Did he get him at the? Did he get him at the finish line?
He might have got him at the line.
Did he get him?
He almost spun the thing on the straightaway.
I don't think he knew those guys were there. He was waving in victory, and it wasn't to the line yet. And then something happened. He almost hit the pit lane. We'll have to look at that again.
No, Eichmann was a lap. He was a lap up. He was a lap up on him. He was 9 laps off the pace, and Archer was about 10 laps. Let's watch again now.
Oh man, I thought he was going to spin the thing back in front of the Viper. He gets it over on the real dirty part of the racetrack here. Showers everyone with.
He does, but I think he was a lap down though.
Wow, I'll tell you what, had he spun that race car there, it would not have been a very good move.
Southern Mercedes team, there's Klaus Ludwig, who shares the victory with Bernd Schneider. So Schneider takes the victory and the championship as they wrap up the season here in California at Laguna Seca.
Once in a while, if you wait long enough, you get to see this or this. But why wait when you can have bunches of crunches? Hot on the heels of ChoiceMark's Smash Hit Sports Video Series comes the Amazing Sports Video Collection. All new and only from ChoiceMark. 5 tapes, hours of entertainment, just $19.95. They even poke fun at superstars like Deion Sanders and Sir Charles Barkley. Call now. These are some bone-crunching, hair-raising, side-splitting bloopers most never before seen on TV. They'll make you laugh. They'll make you cringe. You'll get amazing hits, KOs, and crunches, funniest basketball bloopers, funniest sports bloopers, the lighter side of sports, and the amazing Superstar Sports Quiz. 5 hard-hitting videos for only $19.95 with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Don't wait. You'll only be hurting yourself.
Call 1-800-207-5533 to get the Amazing Sports Videos collection. 5 videos, just $19.95 plus $4.95 shipping. Makes a great gift. Call now.
Every Monday, shift into overdrive with Speed Vision's automotive lineup. Motorin' Mondays. Catch us if you can.
On a sunny afternoon in Monterey, California, Bernd Schneider takes the victory in the 11th race of the FIA GT Championship Series and also takes the title. Let's go to victory lane. Calvin?
Well, I'm here with the new FIA GT champion. How does it feel, Bernd, to get that 6th victory of the season?
Feels fantastic because since Sebring we was not quite sure could we win here because in Sebring Porsche and BMW was very strong and we had a little bit luck, but today everything went perfect for us and I'm really happy. I have to say thank you to my crew, to my mechanics. They prepared the car fantastic and we had really no problem.
Well, the 18-second lead was down to just under 15 at the finish, but still plenty enough for the Mercedes to take the victory here at Laguna Seca and clinch the title for Bernd Schneider. So once again, Schneider with the 15-second advantage. Then the Porsche number 47 of Kellenars and McNish finished in 3rd position. Raphael was 4th, and the Terry Boutsen Hans Stuck Porsche back in 5th position.
Yeah, you know, I love the racing. I love the eclectic group of cars. I just worry about the sustainability of a series like this where it is so expensive to run these cars, but the racing's great.
Well, personally, I'd love to see these cars back, and with one of them with my name on the door would be okay, too.
Or maybe just above.
Just above the
window. As you take a look at the final results. And again, the championship in GT2 would be going to Justin Bell. So he takes the lead in the win in that particular division. So that will wrap it up from here in Monterey, California at Laguna Seca Raceway as we celebrate the 40th anniversary season of this historic track. So for Jeremy Deo, Dorsey Schrader, Calvin Fish, and Greg Creamer, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us. We congratulate Bernd Schneider and wrap it up. So long from Laguna Seca.
Mitsubishi A6M, the Zero fighter, won worldwide fame. It was in its own way one of the finest fighters of the war, and in 1941 and 42 was superior to anything the United States could deploy against it. Against a plane as fast and maneuverable as this, a fighter pilot's success depended on a combination of his training, tactics, and personal strengths.
He has to be aggressive. He has to love to fight. He has to love to tango. But he does not, and he cannot do it foolishly. He has to know the performance of his aircraft. It's that simple. You didn't tango alone. If you did, you're crazy. And I don't know any fighter pilot that will tell you he fought plane for plane with Zero. And we did have to depend on each other. It was a matter of tactics.
The tactics that allowed the Wildcats to hold the Zeros were a combination of pragmatism and aggression, refined in confrontation with the slippery and dangerous enemy planes.
You can't shoot anything if you can't bring your guns around the barrel. I would ask myself, now what should we do if we're flying along in a formation? Let's say we've got 4 planes, 2 sections, and we saw an enemy. Well, if you think the enemy can outperform you, you don't turn and run, because he can catch you, and you'll be easy target. You turn toward him. Try to keep turning toward him so he can't get on your tail. I wasn't sure how well this would work, so I went out one morning and I got a hold of a young man named Butch O'Hare and gave him 4 airplanes, and I took 4. It really worked.
O'Hare is, in many ways, typical of the Navy pilots. Their work could not simply be a matter of gung-ho aggression. The early Japanese advantages in material and experience had to be answered with a thoughtful attention to tactical development and detail.
He had a way of presenting a problem not only in the air by example, but by quietly explaining it in a little more detail on the ground if needs be. But you got the message rather quickly and in a way that it stuck with you. Little things like maybe conserving fuel, looking over your shoulder at the right time, or at least before making a run or making an attack. And I can safely say that I saved my life a couple of times by remembering little rules like this.
The Zeros had been designed to be as light as possible. They were fast and agile, but their light construction cut both ways. They were also flimsy and unarmored. Unable to compete with the Zero's ability, the fighter pilot had to keep his head and exploit its weakness.
You don't get a chance to make but one mistake. Usually that one mistake is the last one.
The Zero's light construction restricted their dive speed, and they could be severely damaged by very few strikes from the US fighters' guns. By 1943, they had lost their dominance in the face of tougher planes and better tactics.
Is that big clip causing stale chips? Is freezer burn making your stomach turn? Then you need EuroSealer, the amazing new sealer that creates an airtight seal that locks in freshness, so food lasts longer. Simply slide EuroSealer along the edge of any bag, and it's sealed airtight. It's that easy. Every time you open it, food tastes like it just came fresh from the store. Once, twice, every time. The secret is EuroSealer's microthermal technology that creates a seal so airtight even water won't leak. Amazing! Don't waste money on spoiled food. Don't waste money on spilled food. Use what you need and seal up the rest. EuroSealer keeps cereal crunchy, chips crispy, vegetables fresh, and deli meat as delicious as the day it was sliced. Look, 1 week later, salad stored with a twist-tie bag is brown and slimy. But salad sealed with EuroSealer is green and fresh. With EuroSealer, you'll save a bundle buying bulk at warehouse clubs. And look, its magnetic surface attaches easily to the refrigerator. Use it outdoors. It seals the heaviest bag airtight. Keep bottles from leaking when you travel, and more. This huge sealer costs $229, and you have to buy the bags. But now on this exclusive TV offer, you can get the amazing EuroSealer for only $19.95. Call within the next 10 minutes and get Eurocan at no additional charge. Eurocan leaves edges incredibly smooth. You can even reapply the lid. Imagine, you get Eurosealer and Eurocan, a $40 value, all for only $19.95. Not available in stores, so don't delay. Seal the deal and order Eurosealer today.
To order the Eurosealer and receive the Eurocan absolutely free, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-609-6006 or send check or money order to the address on your screen. Ask your operator how you can get the AC adapter jack so that you'll never have to use batteries again. Order yours. Call now. That's 1-800-609-6006.
In the weeks following the Battle of the Coral Sea, both sides regrouped and prepared their next move. The Japanese had already decided on their plan to invade Midway, the order having been issued on the 5th of May. As the staff in Hawaii soon became aware, this was to be a massive and elaborate affair involving some 200 ships, including 8 carriers with over 600 aircraft. Admiral Nimitz could only deploy 76 ships in total, and a healthy proportion of these had to be kept in reserve. But by the same token, forewarned and as ready as they could be, the US had no option but to intervene. Hopefully, the Japanese would be sailing into trouble. After Coral Sea, there were only 2 carriers, Enterprise and Hornet, fit for service. But an astonishing effort at the dockyards in Pearl Harbor saw Yorktown repaired in 2 days to sail and join the fleet. Orders flowed on both sides, but the Japanese traffic undermined itself, providing Admiral Nimitz with his major advantage, information. The Japanese plans were complex. 3 groups of ships were involved in an irrelevant invasion of the Aleutian Islands on the 3rd of June, and another 4 in the attack on Midway starting the next day. The carriers were dispersed, with 4 retained as a carrier strike force, and the others split up to escort various convoys and fleets. A picket line of submarines was to wait to intercept the US fleet as it moved to respond. But by the time the picket line took up station, the American ships were already in position north of Midway. The Japanese had made a set of predictions about American response to their attack, which had become the basis for an inflexible and cumbersome battle plan, unable to cope if the Americans didn't do as presumed.
I was called into Admiral Spruance's cabin, and he told me then it could be a turning point because we had very few ships left. So if this was going to be a major battle and we were defeated, well, that meant the end of the war practically.